see you guys in the dark.
Allow me to give some of the timeline of all of the creepy incidents that have happened in Agra. The first incident which has happened was an evening on a beautiful day, and it was one of my days off. This happened last week of July in 2011. I remember it because during the time at the end of this month, my roommate had just lost her father. She left on the same day itself at night, and there was not even a single soul who had no tears in their eyes. Oh, the anguish of hers. I can still hear her wails and screaming, telling her father to please come back. Where did you go? And left out of nowhere. This first incident had happened after my roommate left. She had went for her father's rites. My other roommate went to her boyfriend's place upon his visit to Agra. The fourth roommate was on night shift. I was at home after a morning shift in the front desk department. It was such a beautiful day, and there was pleasant weather, as it was raining this whole day. It happened by the time I had came back home. As usual, I was listening to music, and tried to cook for the first time. The attempt was not that bad, except for it was a little bit greasy. I had a long chat with my mom on the LG flip phone. This model used to blink a blue light at the top of its flap whenever I received any kind of message. This minute detail is important for this incident, which I'm about to recount. After that almost 3-hour-long conversation, yes, 3 hours, I was missing my mother and dad on that terrible day, so I was feeling energized after this conversation. I went to the mattress, laid it on the ground, and then laid on top of it. I kept playing around on my mobile, sometimes listening to some Indian music, then playing that snake game. I don't know if anyone remembers it or not, but there used to be this snake game where you used to feed it without hitting the walls or making it eat its own tail. I remember looking towards the door of my larger room. I was sleeping in the room which had access to the open space behind us. So I got up, switched off the lights. I played the snake game for a few more minutes until I started feeling drowsiness. My eyes were getting droopy, slightly when I saw the door of my room closing on its own gently, centimeter by centimeter. I was still at that stage where I couldn't comprehend what I was looking at. I was already at the threshold of getting into slumberland when I see the door closing by itself. My bedroom door should slam shut on its own in that pleasant, airy night. Instead of doing that, was acting as if someone is actually trying to close it without making any kind of noise. A click noise had come from the adjacent room, as if someone had gotten inside that room and closed it from inside. I finally realized that I am home alone. I got up, drank some water that I kept beside me on a chair, and I went to the other room to go sleep. As the moonlight came directly to this larger room from the window, where you could see the open space as well, a big mistake made by me. My mobile and pillow were in my hands. I slept inside the smaller room with an attached bathroom to it. This time, again, I felt someone was walking within that small open space. I had clearly heard footsteps. It couldn't be the echo of my neighbors. For that to happen, you need to have high ceilings and roofs. Clearly, we didn't have any of that. It was a small house, and the echo of footsteps can't be heard in that open space because there was no roof above it. I still remember to this day how the door of the other room, out of nowhere, closed again this time, even harder. It went from softly moving to closing harder this time. During all this time, I kept hearing footsteps in that open space. I could even see from the windows of my smaller room that there was no one outside. It was a clearer walking sound, and at some point it had came closer to the window as well. It seemed as if someone was closer to the window, or approaching the window at least, and just standing over there, but I couldn't see anyone. That really annoyed me. I got up this time to go check the door of the adjacent room. You know what? The door was open all the time. It wasn't even closed. I came back to my room and then tried to sleep again, but this time I heard someone opening the tap softly, very gently, trying not to make any kind of noise, as if I will get bothered by it. I heard clear footsteps this time in the other room. While all this was happening, I heard clearly someone washing their face in the bathroom, which was attached to my room. I could hear splashes of water with a short interval between them, so that's why I said someone is washing their face. Plus that contact of skin to palm of the hand was clearly audible. Then that clear and sharp noise of a tap opening by itself was coming from the kitchen. All these sounds just magnified to another level in a house, where there is no sound, and where it couldn't be heard except for my soft breathing. The footsteps of the person could now be heard from the living area outside of my room. I could now hear the soft breathing of that person who was walking here and there in that space. This was all happening inside of the house, while I was frozen to my senses on my mattress. Until this point, I had only read, heard, or watched such things only on TV, or from other people's experiences. But this time I could see activity going on inside my own home. I finally tried to be brave and get up. I turned on the light of my room. Every noise which I could hear until now happening in the darkness had stopped. I looked outside my window at the poor imitation of the balcony which we called the open space. There was nothing. I went to the kitchen and both of the bathrooms. There was no one. I walked around the living space to check if something odd had been spotted out. Nothing. I was the first girl to live by myself amongst the roommates until now. I went back to my room. I turned off the lights of all of the rooms, kitchen, and even the bathrooms. I went back to my room, turned off the lights. I kept on turning and twisting while I was trying to sleep, when I felt this pressure on my back. It felt as if someone was keeping their arm around me, and this other presence as activity again started up. I again clearly heard the footsteps in the living space. I remember my mobile on the left side of my shoulder, and I couldn't even turn onto that side, as the pressure on my back was coming from the left side. So my back was facing even the door of the room. This time, I felt the entity, man or whatever it was, stopped walking around the living space from side to side. I heard it came near to the door of my room. For some weird reason, I felt it could not enter inside of this room. Even the weight around my left shoulder and my back was building up, where I started feeling a painful sensation. I remember getting this blue light reflected in my eyeglasses. So I had finally turned. This is where it turns weird, eerie, and spooky for me. I wasn't scared up until this point, to be honest. It was this annoying and frustrated emotion going inside me as I was trying to sleep, but I couldn't. I could see a shadow figure standing outside, right at the door of my room, but at the same time, I felt this cold spot right where I was looking at it. You see, when I turned back, I could look at the shadow figure, and at the same time, feel this coldness which actually numbed my skin right at the ground beside me on the mattress. That's when I realized something was hugging me to this point, where I was sweating and feeling cold at the same time. I never felt this way before, even in the hostel of mine. I had to really get out of my uneasiness and that dizziness. I got up, turned on the light, saw no one once again. Obviously neither on my mattress nor at the entrance of my room. I went to go grab my Hanuman. It's basically a Hindu god. It was gifted to me by my best friend as a way to keep my nightmares away. I guess due to keeping it under my pillow. A positive placebo effect. I was finally calm. I could still hear the footsteps, though, and could again feel it walk up to my room. I changed my room this time. I took that small, thin hymn book, mobile, pillow, and my water bottle to the other larger room. I felt peace inside of that room. I felt like the other presence is there, as I could still hear it walking, and at some point, even coming inside of the room. I had actually felt a pressure this time on my mattress, but it didn't do anything. It had a soothing effect on me, compared to the previous experience, with that previous entity inside of that other room. But one thing was clear. That entity wasn't gone. It was there. I could feel its frustration and anger. It was inside the other room, but couldn't follow me inside this larger room. Out of nowhere, I remembered that my grandfather, after such a long time. Now, I'm not saying that it was my grandfather, since it was clearly not, but I felt his blessing protecting me from whatever sort of energy that I just encountered that night. I fell asleep after a long time, woke up the next morning all refreshed. But I always wondered, was that all my imagination? but who knew that it would show its presence in such a twisted way in front of my friend as well? So this was my first ever encounter, which was followed by that nerve-wracking and scary incidents. Telling this story is having such an amazing therapeutic effect on me. It has burdened me for such a long time that I wasn't able to understand nor make out why me. How it happened. When did I anger some entity without knowing it myself? Was it just my imagination? If it was, then I must have an amazing creativity inside of me. But I lack the creativity bone inside me. I wish I could let others know how psychologically this has impacted me. I'd never told anyone all these incidences. I did tell my cousins about some of them, but I diluted them a little bit so that they wouldn't worry so much. There is a small note, though. One of my other roommates actually felt something inside of the house once she was there by herself. She also said that she heard some footsteps inside of the house during the daytime, where I was facing the same during the nighttime. She felt some unnatural activities in the morning, and during noontime, as a result, she never got open to talk about it as my friend did. Some of my friends had ghosted the theories, but due to the incident at night with me, later on I got a bit more open to such concepts as well. We never spoke a word about our own experiences with each other. Whenever we faced something, it felt odd and weird to do so. We thought the others wouldn't believe us. I recently turned 16, but I have been having things happen to me since I was about 5 years old. I was raised religious, but I'm not all that religious anymore. When I was younger, it was mostly just lucid dreams, with me waking up with some sleep paralysis. It was fine for a little while, until I got older. As I got older, I noticed things only happening around me, which is odd because I have a large family. Lights would flicker, stuff would be moving, small stuff. I got used to this, because I didn't really know what to do anyways. Then it moved on to physical touches. Not anything violent, but it was entirely pleasant to me because it freaks me out. It mostly happens at night when I'm about to go to bed. Normally I would just pass it off as my body hair brushing against me, but it feels different than that. It feels very ticklish, almost electric, as if the touches are under my skin rather than on it. Body hair simply feels uncomfortable to me. Sometimes it feels comforting and helps me sleep. Other times I feel a choking-like sensation. Not like something is suffocating me, but like something has its hands around my neck loosely. It's unsettling, but I'm never scared when it happens. All of the above still happens to me, but I haven't had sleep paralysis recently. Just strange touches, and lights flickering with stuff moving as of date. I would go more into depth about the nature of this spirit, but those stories aren't allowed. I'm a minor, and it's incredibly embarrassing, so I won't do any of that. I'm not sure if I should be worried. I'm not exactly worried because it's been happening for nearly half my life, but I want others' opinions. If I could actually find someone to talk to about it, I'd be willing to answer questions if they needed more information, so I can get a better idea of what I should be doing. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.